Now, it's time for today's perspective on the programme, and she's a woman who calls herself a bit of a technology freak, saying it's like a virus, if you'll pardon the pun. It caught her the first time she touched a computer. My guest today in Perspective was born in Cameroon, studied economics, then left for the US, where she worked in digital technology before starting her own company there, AppsTech, and then starting up other branches of it, including in her native Cameroon, and she is now known worldwide for her work promoting technology in Africa and has even been listed among the top female tech founders to watch in Africa. Rebecca Enonchong joins me here on the set. Thanks very much for coming in and talking to us
Thank you for having me.
First of all, tell us about this bug, if you like, for technology. Where on earth does it come from in you in the first place?
You know, I can't understand it, but it's something that anybody that has experienced technology can tell you about. That there's something about it. You touch it and you start using it and you start realizing its power, and you start realizing that the power is in your hands. You can create, you can develop, you can change the world just using technology. And I think that's what makes it so exciting.
And then you were able to turn it, if you like, into your job.
Exactly. Isn't that great?
Yeah.
You know, you can take a passion and make a job out of it. There's nothing better than that on this earth.
Yeah. And how hard was it to get started in the first place? I mean, presumably it's not all that easy.
Well, I think I started working. I worked in finance, as you said earlier in my presentation. I studied economics, but I was working in accounting while I was in school. And so I started in technology through using financial technologies and adapting them. And so I started in through that way. And so for me, it wasn't that difficult. And because I was so addicted, you know, I would spend nights taking computers apart and putting them together just to understand how they functioned. And so starting my business in the US was actually not that difficult because the environment for business, they really encourage entrepreneurship. And I wish that it would be that easy to start a business on the continent. It's very difficult in many, many countries, particularly Francophone countries, where there's a lot of bureaucracy, there's a lot of red tape that really slows down the ability of young people to create businesses.
Is the knowledge there? I mean, as you say, you started up your own company as well in Cameroon, in your native Cameroon. I mean, are people keen to get involved and able to be able to have the skills needed, I suppose, to do that kind of work?
You would be so surprised. I think that the problem that we have on the continent is not a digital skills problem, because you'll find that even young children, as soon as they touch a device, a laptop or a smartphone, they automatically know how to use it. And so it's almost like we're skipping that generation of having to learn how to use technology. It's old people like us that need training to understand how to use a smartphone. Yeah. But I think where we do lack skills would be in general education, in critical thinking, which is extremely important as we're creating new technology. We have to see larger. And so I'm really encouraging our African governments to create curriculum from a very, very young age that includes critical thinking and have technology as an underlying component in all education, not just not just have like coding classes on the side, but really teach with technology. And that way the kids will learn and technology and the subject matter.
And are people getting that message, do you think? I mean, I suspect it depends on the country, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really depends on the country. There's some countries that get it. Their implementation may not be all there, but some countries, do get it. Some countries don't understand it at all. I mean, you know, in my country, Cameroon, which I love with all my heart, we have 6 different ministries that address education. And I see when you have so many disparate views and objectives, it's very hard to have a consolidated national effort to promote this vision that is to infuse education, digital education at a very young age.
And presumably it depends. I mean, some of the countries who have perhaps started along that road are very keen to continue it. Others just completely unreceptive.
Yeah, I think some of them just don't understand it. You know, even those who are willing, who think from a very theoretical standpoint that it's a good thing to do digital, they don't really understand what it is. You know, they really think it's putting computers in a lab in a school, and they keep building these telecenters with standalone computers. They're not really understanding the impact and how to promote a digital economy. And I'm really hoping that one of the reasons that I love being invited to places like this is that it gives me that voice to talk to so many of the leaders and say, hey, you know, talk to your local entrepreneurs, talk to your local technology hubs, and they will help you devise better policies for digital economies.
What other policies are needed? I mean, is it just a case of will, or is there more to it than that?
Oh, there's much more to it, because you have very well-meaning projects that don't go anywhere, like some of these smart cities and things like that, with, you know, huge amounts of money, very little impact. I think that, you know, if we start looking at virtual smart cities, it would be more effective. Have like a virtual trade zone for technology versus having a physical one. You know, the digital economy is not a physical one. And so we almost have to divorce in our minds, you know, all of the things that we do to promote various industries and say, hey, digital has no borders. You know, so why are we trying to put it in a building? Why are we trying to put it in one city? So, but we've gotten together, a lot of the stakeholders in the African tech ecosystem have gotten together to devise a proposal for our leaders called, it's the I4 policy, so the number 4 policy.org. It's in English, in French, and in Arabic. And really it's a framework for developing policies that we want. And so this is a way for us to share our voice on what we want for policy.
Let's talk a little bit more about Cameroon as well. I mean, I know you've been quite critical of the government there when it shut down the internet last year because of the violence in the Anglophone region there. I mean, why do you think they felt the need to do that, and why do you think it was the wrong decision?
It was a wrong decision because it actually fueled violence. There was no violence before the internet shutdown. The internet shutdown was from January 17th, 2017, and lasted for three whole months. And this was a complete shutdown of the internet. It wasn't just social media. And if in the Anglophone region is really the epicenter of the technology ecosystem in Cameroon. And so it really shut down our ecosystem and the digital economy because the entrepreneurs had to move most of them out of Cameroon in order to continue their businesses. So I think that it was very ill advised to, I don't think they would do it again today. I think that they've learned about the impact and that it did not help quell violence because that area only became more violent after the internet shut down. I would hope that other governments would also learn from that and say, don't shut down the internet. The internet is really the oxygen for the digital economy. And when you shut it down, you're really saying to your digital economy that we don't want you to exist. And so you can't have a policy on one side saying, hey, we're going to encourage digital economy. And then as soon as you have elections, you shut down the internet. It just does not make sense.
Good to have a positive thought at the end. Thanks very much for joining us on the programme today. Rebecca Enonchong from joining us here on Today's Perspective.
Thank you so much for having me.
Let's have a last look at the main news headlines.